Global airlines stand to lose about $113 billion in sales if the coronavirus continues to spread. That's coming from the International Air Transport Association, IATA. The body has also warned that airlines could lose 19% of their total business. From German carrier Lufthansa grounding 150 of its aircraft fleet to Flybe collapsing in the United Kingdom and many more flights to China and Italy being restricted, the impact is not looking good. And that's what we're taking a closer look at on this edition. Plus, it's a year after Ethiopian Flight 302 crash. Thank you so much for joining us on Aviation this week on Channels Television. I'm Bukola Joe Oketumbi, and our flight takes off right now.
Demand for airline seats are down. Carriers are taking losses on the nose, and it is not unconnected with the travel restrictions and bans. No thanks to the novel COVID virus epidemic of gigantic proportions. The International Air Transport Association, IATA, has said airlines could suffer a loss of $103 billion as a result of COVID-19, following a review of its previous financial impact analysis. In the United Kingdom, airlines EasyJet and British Airways are reducing their flights to northern Italy over the next 3.5 weeks after Italian authorities ordered a virtual lockdown of the area to curb the virus spread. For British Airways, the airline will be reviewing its schedule, adding it had contacted all customers hoping to travel. Still in the UK, regional carrier Flybe entered into administration last week as the already struggling carrier failed to withstand the plunge in travel demand caused by the coronavirus outbreak. With all flights grounded, the UK business has ceased trading with immediate effect. Flybe had been seeking a government loan to help it survive, but its failure will put 2,000 jobs at risk. The airline, which connects smaller UK cities like Southampton and Manchester, was rescued from near collapse in mid-January when its shareholders agreed to invest more money alongside UK government support for the airline. In Rome, there was little hustle and bustle at the city's airport, with only a few travellers seen walking through an entrance hall that almost echoed as thousands of travellers have postponed or cancelled their trips to Italy. The unprecedented restrictions, which will impact some 16 million people and stay in force until April the 3rd, were signed into law overnight by Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte. This break in business is expected to bring economic damage to European airlines. Lufthansa Group airlines, which include Swiss, Brussels and Austrian Airlines, had said it will reduce the number of short and medium-haul flights by up to 25% in the coming weeks. Lufthansa announced that it was extending the suspension of flights to China until April the 24th, to Tehran until April the 30th, and reducing services to northern Italy due to the coronavirus outbreak.
A very significant fall in demand.
At a meeting which had European airline bosses in attendance, they bared their mind on the impact.
The next key, if you like, event is Easter, which is mid-April. Now, I think clearly we've a lot of kind of forward bookings already in the system for the Easter period. Will families who have already booked Easter holidays travel? I think at this point in time, unless it gets much worse, we see no diminution or demand for cancellations or for lack of travel around the Easter period, but it could get worse. And thereafter, May could be a little bit soft, but I think by the time we get to June, July or August, as long as things have settled down, then I think you will see a pretty rapid return to normal travel patterns.
It represented a very significant fall in demand on the transatlantic, but it did recover pretty quickly once US skies reopened. I've equally no doubt that we will see traffic recover in due course in the way we've seen it recover in previous events. I don't believe it's appropriate that governments start to provide financial support to airlines who were not sustainable before the outbreak of this coronavirus.
There have been a number of recent airline failures in Europe, whose airline industry is seen as significantly fragmented.
In terms of consolidation, personally, I would say yes. There are quite a few weak carriers throughout the world, and in particular Asia. So we are seeing that. In Europe, we see the same. France, over the last few months, you've seen 2 failures. So most definitely, I believe this will accelerate consolidation. So yes, it is a big event. It has a huge impact on travel right now. We're seeing that in particular to and from Asia, but to other parts of the world, across the Atlantic, South America, Africa, relatively muted. However, northern Italy, we have seen, as you know, some impacts there.
Still in Europe, Lufthansa has grounded 150 long-haul jets out of its total fleet of around 770 due to the coronavirus. Back here in Africa, the International Air Transport Association says the coronavirus epidemic could cost African airlines tens of millions of dollars in revenue this year alone, a potentially devastating hit to struggling airlines that count on lucrative Chinese routes to fund their expansion. The airline body had already forecast before the outbreak that African airlines will make a loss of around $200 million this year.
We could see the effect on revenues exceed 100 billion, around about 19% of global passenger revenues. This would be a revenue shock equivalent to what was seen in the global financial crisis. So, this again is a serious situation facing airlines.
The continent's biggest carrier, Ethiopia Airlines, had seen air travel demand decline by 20%. His airline has faced criticism online for not cancelling flights to China, as Kenya, Tanzania and Rwanda have done. Kenya also halted direct flights from 2 cities in northern Italy, which is the location of the biggest cluster of coronavirus cases in Europe.
Ticket sales to foreign destinations have taken a significant dip, as most Nigerians have also chosen to remain at home. Although there is no significant effect on domestic airline business, global airlines will suffer the most. There's more from our guests.
Sales on international routes has declined. It has declined because there's more of fear in Africa than rest of the world, because social media has taken over our lives, and on social media we spread more of negative news than positive. Everybody's just taking precautionary measures to stay back. But for how long are we going to stay back? Not significantly, in the sense that the influx of other workers of international companies in Nigeria that will have made local trips within the country based on their assignments, those have been taken out. But in the real sense of it, we haven't really lost much. Unlike the way they were affected in other parts of the world, we are not that affected. We're still having good load factors. Nigerians have developed the habit of traveling. That's the truth. And because we are an import-dependent country, people, if they cannot go to China, they go to Turkey. And they go to other places where they can still bring their goods in. So things are still happening. I can say to a very large extent that most of the global carriers, we have regional carriers, we have global carriers, the top ones. They don't have a choice but to park some of their birds. I call it their birds because they're actually supposed to be in the air. They are aircrafts. The aircraft is meant to be in the air, flying. That's the way the aircrafts have been designed. They're not designed to be parked on the tarmac. But as it were, they are being parked because there are no passengers. The effect is so much in Europe, in America, The numbers in America is growing. The number in Italy is growing. Something has to be done and be done fast, because if this persists, right now we're in March, by April we should be celebrating Easter break, and that would lead to people traveling. So it means that people won't still be able to travel. After Easter break, we have the summer break. The impact as it is now is going to affect those two breaks, which are very important in our industry. So it's really, I see the figure going higher than that. But most importantly, we should try as much as possible to not create unnecessary panic.
Collaboration is key among professionals, pilots, air traffic controllers, flight dispatchers, and other personnel in the aviation industry.
Honourable Minister, heavily represented by the...
It is often an uphill task, but here at this forum in Lagos, experts are providing solutions to the problems in the bid to raise the safety bar.
Various sectors of the aviation sector need to be involved in running the aviation industry successfully. We can't have just one aspect of the aviation sector, maybe like the airlines doing everything, or we have just the regulators or just the airspace management. We all have to come together.
Officials from the Nigerian Meteorological Agency and the boss of the Accident Investigation Bureau also lend their voice.
We must collaborate. There is no any other way to it. Because, like in AIB, I tell my staff, even the cleaner is very, very important. You must treat everybody nice. You must appreciate every effort. Because take an organization, tell the cleaners, go home for the next 2 months, nobody comes to clean. Can the CEO sit in the office? So it's the same thing. The airlines, I commend your effort. You are putting in so much. It's about life, it's about blood. It's not easy, there are a lot of challenges, but together we can solve that problem and make it better.
Collaboration is very important. Aviation is one, and we are happy that we collaborate effectively. And for 9-8, we want to advise that we can still do more in form of collaborations, so that if agency A is embarking on certain large-scale project, so let there be effective coordination of information so that we can share knowledge, expertise. We can also prefer decision-making.
For the air traffic controllers, collaboration is essential, but training is also important.
What we feel is that there is need to give adequate training to those operational and technical staff in the industry in order for them to be able to perform their rightful duty and then have the necessary exposure. We have been maintaining the FA and ACO rating, and there are standard setting as relates to human capital development. And once sister agencies or any of the government parastatals, even the private sector in the industry is running short of it, it can impair safety. And that is why we said agencies should mind their core responsibility and attach their training, tailor the training towards that.
And the new boss of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority does agree.
Training is critical. Training is important. But training only gives you the skills and the ability to do the job. It doesn't mean you'll be able to do the job. So we must go beyond training. You have the skills, something must happen for you to do the job. Just because you have the skills does not mean the job will get done.
As the meeting winds down, the body of pilots is asking the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria and the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority to resolve the issue of runway 18 left lighting at the Lagos airport, as this has both safety and economic implications on airline operations. When Aviation This Week returns, Newsflash is next. Do join us again.